I invite you, of course, wherever you may be, instead of saying to you it is this way or that way. When you ask how many residences I would have, well, there it is, here, right over my shoulder. Can you see it? Yes, of course, I must tell you, I am living in a tent. Yeah, not like Mr. and Mrs. McCain. But Mr. McCain can't remember that he had 7 houses. Who knows, maybe he has more. And who knows how many houses his wife owns. Well, you know, she is a daughter of a beer brewer or beer brewing organization, family, whatever, you know, because today we sometimes don't know exactly how it sits any longer, because people can maneuver and hide and adjust so many things. But I am a daughter, a granddaughter of a very famous beer brewer, and of course they also made the woolens and the silk materials for the army and the navy and for the Dutch royal house and so on. And yeah, the 3 Horseshoe beers today, so many years ago, is still out in the news and is still out to be found, although under a banner of other people. But let me take a look at this. Poverty. Poverty in Canada is rampant. For you who live in other places throughout the planet, I want you to be aware that this is not the land of milk and honey for everyone. When someone says, oh yes, you know, you have it so good there. Well, the rents here average $900 to $1,000 for a 1-bedroom place or more. And the pensions are, you know, $400 and some dollars. Let me give you a big 500, which it is not, but maybe with everything that they proclaim. And then there is the health care. Well, health care doesn't include dental care, and health care doesn't include your what shall we say, for various medications and other stuff that a person might need. In my case, of course, in the place I lived in, I contracted asthma and serious allergies to mold. So let us take a look at the scenario politically. Here we have thousands and thousands of people who live on the streets, and where the great haves can have everything. Now we have this condition of elections in the United States of America, and this gentleman called Harper, he is whiff-waffling around whether he should call an election. Well, when we look always at the whiff-waffling that goes on in countries when they go and want to be elected, most of the people are not aware that that so-called New World Order, that so-called New World Control System, including religions, have the power. And when you go to these churches or whatever they are, you basically are going to be whiff-waffled in to say this one or that one, because this one belongs to our church and that one belongs to another church. But in real true reality, you the people, we the people, wherever we may be, need to wake up and understand that at this moment you do not have much to choose from. Or do you think you do? Well, in your country we have a man who is running around on his old so-called glories of being a war veteran or war victim. Well, that's too many years ago. If we had a person running around who was telling us how they lost everything, suffered and cried during the Iraq war, I think that's valid. But you know, I'm a survivor of World War II, so I can dance up and down much more than he can. But that's not what it is all about. What it is all about, that this is the time where people need to choose good thoughts, good deeds, good actions. No war, no killing, no hatred, no racism. And as the precious Zarathustra wished, no difference of race, creed, color, or religion. But it isn't like that, because so long as we have those upon the planet that jump up and down and grandstand about which religion they belong to or who they are, then we would have to say it's time to go to Zarathustra and say, no, we all must live in harmony. You see, those in the peanut gallery agree. They agree. And these are my friends, the seagulls, agreeing. Now, I'm not like the Dalai Lama. I am not like Deepak Chopra. I am not like some of these preachers and jump up and down and point left, right, and everywhere. I'm not. When they came to me and asked me, and of course I was already told that I was a Saoshyant at the age of 5, well, now of course add a bucket of years to it, and they came and they are there all the time to ask what I see in the future. Well, I see many things in the future. And the greatest thing I see in the future that can bring about that what is needed upon the planet is change. Change in religions, the manipulation that goes on from religions, the manipulation that goes on in racism and hatred. And when someone said the other day, if I lived in the States, who would I go for? Well, I would still look for Mr. Obama as your greatest choice, because unless he doesn't keep his promise, he is still out for the people who do not owe and have or want to have 7 houses and are worth millions of dollars. Can you imagine? This man says that when you have $5 million, just think about it, then he thinks that you are well above the poor class, because $5 million isn't that much. Well, you give me $5 million and I'll show you what I can do with $5 million for humanity. But then, you are you and I am I. I'm not like the Dalai Lama. I don't get paid by the CIA or the FBI or others who want me to grandstand for them. Or I do not get armies raised up that I can take to war. You see, the peanut gallery again agrees. They're shouting full of joy, because when the truth is told, they admit, there we go. And of course, I also do not have great big posh health spas all over the world. But one thing I will promise and do for you. I will speak to you about true life after life, and I will speak to you about you as a spiritual being. Not whether you're rich or poor, but just how lovely, kind, and good you are.